Greetings, it is I, Ryuji Dread. How are all of you doing today, Dread Knights? As you can see, we are going to be playing more Diablo III Eternal Collection for the Nintendo Switch. I have Diablo on multiple different platforms, but I feel like playing the Switch version because this is the one I can take on the go with me, which is very, very convenient. Plus, this is the only Diablo III version, really the console versions, that actually has controllers support. So I'm going to be playing today the Demon Hunter. I'm going to be using the Unhallowed Essence set armor. The reason for that, Dread Knights, is because I've played a lot of GOG already, which is Gears of Dreadland, and I want to really be able to grind a little bit further into the Greater Rifts, so I'm going to play the Unhallowed Essence set armor. Those are the set armors that I have. We're going to be using this particular set. We're going to be grinding Greater Rifts because that's pretty much what Diablo III Endgame is all about, but I think I'm running low on Keystones because if I remember correctly, this is the set as it stands. I'm just going to show it really quickly. I have a build already for this. It is available in the Diablo 3 playlist, so if you look up Unhallowed Essence set armor, you will find it. Wow, that's a lot of Paragon that I'm going to have to invest here, but that's fine. So we're just going to kind of grind things out. That's basically what we do. Here's basically a look at the skills real quickly so you know what we're going to be doing with this particular build. This one's really like a keep away build where you just shoot things from far away and then you just burn through your arrows and then smite things. We have to start with a Nephilim Rift though, Dread Knights, because Nephilim Rifts, I need some Greater Rift keys, and plus I'm a little bit rusty with this set armor, so I'm gonna have to figure out how it plays all over again. It's a little bit of muscle memory. It shouldn't take me too long to figure things out. Last week we were playing the Talraja set armor. This week I wanted to do a little bit of Demon Hunter. Next week I'm thinking we'll probably do Trag'Oul's Avatar set armor, which is a pretty cool Blood Nova build. That also is pretty good at pushing very high Greater Rifts. Now, one of the things that I constantly still am getting asked about when it comes to Diablo 3 content, Diablo 3 videos that I've made in the past, is what is the proper way to really grind for Paragon as well as to grind for Primal Ancient Legendaries as well as Ancient Legendaries? Well, honestly, the easiest thing you should be doing, or the thing you should be doing, is trying to push anything at Greater Rift 90 or above within 3-minute clear times. Now, in older videos, I used to say Greater Rift 70 because that's assuming that somebody's starting from their seasonal journey and they don't have all the rare pieces and everything, or they haven't augmented their armor, because usually when you have a regular set armor and you know, leveled up your legendary gems at least to level 50, you should be able to do a 3-minute clear time in one of the more S-tier builds to be able to actually grind up those gems and then eventually push a little bit further. But as you're going higher and higher, trying to climb through more power, you're going to realize that those gems you can't level up unless you do very high Greater Rift. The reason why people do 3-minute Greater Rift 90 runs is because that gives you the highest potential for loot drops. Anything really at 90 and above, preferably level 100, you would really want to do for Primordial Ancient Legendary. But for level 90 Greater Rifts, you get the maximum amount of drops possible for loot. At level 100 and up, you get the highest chances for Primordial Ancient Legendaries to drop. The higher the Greater Rift, the higher there's a chance that there's going to be a Primordial Ancient Legendary drop. But keep in mind that Primordial Ancient Legendaries as themselves, which are the red bordered gear that you see in this game, hopefully I'll be able to get one in this particular session that we're doing today, generally have only a 2% rate of dropping. So, you know, it's like you're kind of playing the math there. There's a higher chance the higher the Greater Rift, but in reality it's still going to be a 2% chance, if that makes any sense. It's just you'll find the more likely the higher up in the Greater Rifts, even though the chance really doesn't change too much in terms of percentages. I know that seems like a little bit of oxymoron, but trust me, I've played like 2,000 hours of Diablo just on this particular platform, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. And on top of that, when you do Greater Rift 90 and above, like in 3-minute clear times, you're gonna get a whole bunch of Paragon really quickly. So like to really be able to do Greater Rift 150s, and I have done Greater Rift 150s with our characters and our builds and our things with groups. The thing that you really want to focus on is getting your Paragon level usually between it depends on the build, right? So like a really good Talraja fully augmented build, or near augmented, perfect rolls, perfect stats on an armor, could probably get 4,000 Paragon. You could probably clear stuff out, but if you're looking at some of the less optimized builds, you're looking at like having to have 8,000 Paragon to actually solo a Greater Rift. 150. Now that changes dramatically if you're playing in groups with people. Unfortunately, Diablo 3, there's not too many people playing it, particularly on the Nintendo Switch version, and I was kind of a loner in these particular games. Even when the game was really popping off, you never really find too many people that are in the Eternal Realm, because everybody just keeps making seasonal characters. For me, I've done everything I wanted to in terms of seasonal content, so I just kind of do stuff on what would be considered the regular realm, the non-seasonal realm. In Diablo 4, it's called Eternal Realm. It's not Eternal Realm here, thankfully, where all your Paragon carries over between characters. Everything is shared. I really like this particular thing about Diablo 3 in particular. On top of that, because I can switch the builds on the fly. I know a lot of people like critique Diablo 3 in particular because it's more of a arcade style of a action RPG, a dungeon crawler, and people don't like that feel. Some people prefer Diablo 2 because it's more archaic. I like Diablo 2, don't get me wrong. If you've been a viewer of this channel for many, many years and have been with me since the start of the channel, you have seen that we have played a lot of Diablo 2 Resurrected. We have played a lot of Diablo 4 pre-Vessel of Hatred patch. The thing about it is Diablo 2 is kind of just not the most fun to play because some of the things that are featured in Diablo 2 Resurrected, like, it's nice to revisit the story, and it is a great game for what it is, but there's not that many quality of life features, right? So a lot of stuff feels very old and archaic. It takes forever to get from level 90 to 100, even with the additions of the Terror Zones, which I think was pretty cool, and the Sunder Charms and everything. It's still a very, very long chore to get to things. I think there's a harder grind to get things done in Diablo 2 Resurrected than it was back in the day to get characters to level 100 in Diablo 4 before they did the Vessel of Hatred thing where they screwed everything up, in my opinion. So, you know, that's why I don't do that. As for Diablo 4, I never got the expansion. I didn't really want to pay $40 for it. The other reason, too, is I just didn't care for Diablo 4. Like, I find the base game very boring. I found it very grindy, which reminded me of, like, Diablo 2 grind, but there wasn't as interesting loot drops for me, which was a pretty big deal breaker. And then, like, the trying to force things in the last expansion of making you play with people, and the fact that it's not really a true traditional dungeon crawler, as I've spoken about before. It plays more like Diablo Immortal in the sense of the battle pass that you have to play for, in the sense that it's more like an MMO light where there's other people in the world interacting with you that, you know what, break your level of immersion when you're like just going through the game, and just other things like the story being half-baked, and just like none of the builds being very interesting that are featured, and it just feels bland and boring. The art style definitely feels like a Diablo 2 game. But at its core, just Diablo 4 just feels like, I don't know, it tried very hard to be like Diablo 2, but it didn't succeed in that retrospect. And then it tried really hard to be like Diablo Immortal for a while, which everybody hated Diablo Immortal. And then it tried very, very desperately then to kind of like try to do stuff that Diablo 3 does, but it did it poorly, which just didn't translate over. Like, I feel like there's such a time sink in Diablo 4 that nobody with a reasonable amount of time is going to dedicate to it. And a lot of people have said, even with, like, the new patches that have been coming out, and, like, apparently apparently Belial, the Lord of Lies, who was featured in Diablo 3 as one of the newer prime evils, or lesser evils, I think, as they were called in this game, is going to be showing up in Diablo 4 for the expansion of the Vessel of Hatred. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, we brought back a Diablo 3 lesser lord, but it's like, it doesn't really matter to me particularly, because it's like, okay, so you brought him back. Like, I feel like they're slow drip feeding everything. So, like, for example, like, we just didn't get Diablo in the base game for Diablo 4, which confused the shit out of me. Like I've said before, last time we played Diablo 4. Because, like, there's never been a game where Diablo's not been in the base game, ever. Diablo 2, Diablo's like the final boss in the regular base game of Diablo 2. And then an expansion, Lord of Hatred. No, not Lord of Hatred. Lord of Destruction, excuse me. Baal is the final boss for the expansion. And then in Diablo 3, we have Diablo, who is the boss of the base game. And then Mephiel is the true last game boss for Diablo 3. Diablo 4, I don't know what they're thinking. We had Lilith as the final boss. We had a very weird, like, avatar of Mephisto, but it isn't actually Mephisto. So he's not, wasn't in the expansion. The next expansion is not for 2026. They have apparently a 10-year plan with this Diablo 4 game, which I don't see how you're going to be able to sell multiple expansions of a game that everybody hates and keep that going for like 10 years, because I played it for about a year and a half that it's been out, and I gave up on the game, and I was like, no, I don't want more of this expansion. I don't want more of this experience. I don't want more of this bland gameplay. I don't want any more of anything that it has offering, because I just don't like anything from it. So, like, having a game that everybody hates on a 10-year plan, and your roadmap doesn't look like it's doing anything to make the game any more enjoyable or any better or any more interesting or anything remotely like it should be something worth playing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why keep a game out that long? But that's their 10-year plan. Why develop a Diablo 5 and just, like, make this game maybe a 4 or 5 year life cycle, and instead we're gonna have a turd for 10 years. I mean, okay, I'll give you... I understand that Diablo 3, when it came out, was pretty bad because of the auction house and everything. I understand that the game was rough for a while, and it took roughly like 10 years for it to become a very enjoyable experience like the one it is now. But, you know, gamers are not that patient anymore, particularly when people have said that Diablo 3 wasn't great. And I like Diablo 3, don't get me wrong. It's a very fun game. Is it flawed? Yeah, it's got its flaws. I mean, endgame is basically just creatorist, but at least they make the grinding and the looting and the systems around it to try to make your grind a little bit more enjoyable. Overall, it works perfectly as a system for what it does. And then Diablo 4, it's like, it tries to do too many things that it really shouldn't be doing. It's like too many cooks in the kitchen. It doesn't know if it wants to be an MMO or it wants to be a dungeon crawler. So they started with the Nightmare Dungeons, and then big focus in the very beginning of the game was Nightmare Dungeons, Nightmare Dungeons, Nightmare Dungeons, which makes sense because, like, a dungeon crawler, you should be grinding in dungeon. And then as it went on, they were like, oh no, we want you to be grinding in the world with other people, so we're gonna have, like, the raid bosses to do like in World of Warcraft. So now you're forcing people to play. But the thing is, the world bosses kind of suck, and they don't give you any good loot, so most people who do them don't even care. Like, and what happens too a lot of the time is you'll get, like, somebody that comes in that's super overpowered into a world boss fight, and then, like, the world boss dies before there was really any sense of accomplishment there, which is a big problem in Diablo 4. So they had you do that, and then when that didn't really work out, they tried to make the Hell Tides better, so with better loot drops and everything of the sort, but it's, you know, you're still partaking with people in the world, and they continue to gravitate farther and farther away from what a dungeon crawler is. Add all these things that don't have you actually doing things in fucking dungeons, which doesn't make any sense at all. Then they were like, okay, well, in the next season, we're gonna do it so that, you know what, we'll have you focusing on the pit. Where this is the Greater Rift system. We have this, but we don't have leaderboards. Okay, fine. So let's just copy the Greater Rift system because we can't figure out what to do with this game. And then what do they do? Now, with the expansions, like, oh, wait, we want to go focus you back in dungeons, but we want dungeons that have to be done with other people, so we're going to put a search feature in. No! That's not how this game is supposed to work. Most people that play Diablo games do not want to interact with other people in their world. They want to be the only wanderer in the world, killing things, destroying demons, destroying hell spawns, lots and lots of other things. They don't want to be pairing up with people. Even in Diablo 3, most of the time, people didn't want to pair up with people unless they were trying to, like, power level to Greater Rift 150 for a season. Otherwise, they really wouldn't be touching the Greater Rift system. They wouldn't be doing Greater Rift with anybody else, because why? They're competing on the leaderboard, so everybody wants those bragging rights, Dread Knights. So I don't get it. Like, I don't personally understand what their focus is in Diablo 4. It's like it has no identity, and it keeps trying to copy other games that happened before its identity to be able to get it to work. Like, even in the expansion, what they do, they made rune words, fake rune words, not like the rune words from Diablo 2, but it's like, hey, how could we get people from Diablo 2 to play Diablo 4 again because they don't like what we did, which was add more things that Diablo 3 players did? I know, let's add fake rune words to hopefully make it better. No. 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 See, Blizzard, you don't seem to understand the problem with your game. The reason people aren't playing Diablo 4 is because Diablo 4 is fucking boring. There's nothing really interesting about Diablo 4. It's a very long grind, very bad story, very long slogfest. None of the powers make you feel powerful. Dynamic scaling has never made the game feel good, because no matter how powerful you get, all the enemies that you encounter get even more stronger. They have bogus affixes and everything of the sort. It doesn't make it fun. You know how you make Diablo 4 good? Make it fun. It's like, make it its own identity and add fun stuff. Make it so that, you know what, it feels like you're powerful. Don't keep forcing player bases into having to interact with other people in the world. Give us an option so that we can turn off everything that's going on in Diablo 4 in the world. Like, give us an option so we can play in this world by ourselves and not have to interact with people like it was in the previous 2 games. I mean, even in Diablo Immortal, if I don't want to play with people, I can do things to turn it off. The most I can do in Diablo 4, I can turn off crossplay, but who cares? Because most people aren't even playing with the cross feature on anyway, so I'm going to still run into people that are just going to ruin my overworld experience, because I can't just run a whole bunch of dungeons in this game, because I have to do all these other dumb little things just to be able to get stuff to run the pits. Like, they don't understand anything. It's like, I think one of the worst things that happened, and people might argue with me on this, and it's fine. We can agree to disagree. I think the worst thing that happened was they let whoever was developing Diablo 4 develop it, and then just let the people who had developed Diablo 3 give it another shot for Diablo 4. Because I think if we had the developers of Diablo 3 developing Diablo 4, but had the story people of Diablo 2 working on the story, we might have actually had a good game. But why? No, because the majority of all the decent people who made Diablo interesting and made this game and this franchise fun for a while have completely left. And who are we stuck with? A guy who's in charge that was known for basically tanking the Gears of War franchise. And that's what we got stuck with now, right? You know what? Like, I don't have any faith in Diablo 4 at this point. Every time somebody mentions Diablo 4 to me, I honestly want to vomit in my mouth, because that's how much I fucking hate Diablo 4. You know what? I spent, what was it, $70 to get Diablo 4, right? When it came out. $70. A very, very expensive game that I dropped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on, just for them then to be like, oh, all those characters that you had at level 100, no, with the expansion, we're going to drop all that stuff down, and they're going to be level 50, and you're going to have to grind to 60, and by the way, if you accidentally push this button, we're going to reset your build to optimize it to what we think it's good, you should be, and change all your skills, so have fun going through all the Paragon board again, grind everything out, buddy. Yeah, thanks, Blizzard. That was really something that made me want to even just revisit the base game. So no, I will not be playing more Diablo 4. I'm not interested in playing Diablo 4. People have asked me about Path of Exile. Will I be playing Path of Exile 2 when it comes out? Well, I am down to try out Path of Exile. I wasn't very open to it before, but I've heard okay things about Path of Exile 2. I hear it's a very incomplete game, but I am not going to pay $30 for, like, advanced access to Path of Exile 2. I will wait for it to be the actual free-to-play version that they're claiming it's going to be. I'm not going to get a Founders Pass for $30 because I don't want to spend that. Now, if the developers of Path of Exile 2 want to sponsor me and actually throw me a key to take a look at their product, I will gladly do so. Maybe they can make a believer out of me. But for the time being, I'm not going to do Path of Exile 2 because I don't want to pay for it. You know what, I've already been burnt out on all the new traditional dungeon crawlers. I remember when Path of Exile came out, and it's like, oh, it's a free-to-play dungeon crawler. And I just kind of was like, free-to-play, because we haven't had enough free-to-play games before. I play a lot of free-to-play games, but I don't want to do more free-to-play games, because, like, I play Fortnite, right? I don't play Fortnite every season. I play the seasons that I find interesting. I sit out the seasons that I don't find interesting. And you know, every once in a while, I'll do a battle pass if I think it's fun. Case in point, the battle pass that featured Godzilla, I bought that battle pass. Kong and Mechagodzilla skins from the Godzilla Monsterverse, I bought those skins. Hatsune Miku added to Fortnite, I got that skin. Those were really good additions that made me interested in Fortnite. Like, here's the thing, I heard a rumor a couple days ago that, I don't know, by the time you see this video, maybe Tabor Hill probably dropped the news to everybody, but apparently there's going to be Star Wars Fortnite Battle Pass, where apparently next season is going to be 100% Star Wars. A whole Star Wars Battle Pass theme. I would be interested in playing that one, depending on what the skins are, because I think that's a great idea, and that makes me interested and invested on it. So I'll play Fortnite, because Fortnite does things to make me interested in the free-to-play, and I don't have to really... I could just play the game. I don't feel like I'm forced into anything. As opposed to, like, Diablo, which was a base game that I paid retail price for $70 that wants me to pay then for battle passes every fucking season. Get the fuck out of here. And then for Path of Exile, I guess if I want to do their seasons and have certain things, I have to pay for that too. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want that stuff. You know what? I already played Lost Ark, and people remember from way back in the day when I was the vampire here, where I was Count Dreadscape Gaming, how much I fucking hated Lost Ark, because a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do was locked behind paywalls. I don't like free-to-play games when they do shit like that. Fortnite's the only free-to-play game that seems to have ever gotten something right. Maybe Apex Legends to a certain extent as well. Everything else is just terrible. Here's the other thing too, like, I'm so tired of game developers. I know I'm like going on a big rant and tangent, but I gotta guys, I gotta get this off my chest. The former games journalist in me is just gotta get this off the chest. I am so tired of paying for retail games that then try to sell me battle passes. I've already paid for your base game, and I then have to pay for DLC. What makes you think that I'm gonna want to then pay for like extra cosmetics and things hidden behind a battle pass? Ooh, it's only $9. No, I gave you $70 already. Then you expect me to buy DLC, and then on top of DLC, you want me to buy cosmetics that are already programmed into your retail game? And then on top of that, you want me to buy a battle pass? Or then you expect to sell me our DLC in the form of expansions? I'm looking at you, Diablo 4, when I'm saying this. Yeah, no, get the fuck out of here. That is not fucking happening. You know what? Like, I'll give you an example of one that I was fine with. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, okay. There was a lot of layer armors that were free. There was a couple that were considered premium layer armors. I remember when the soft, cute weapons came out, and when Feel Rain with Horror Voice Pack came out, I got those, you know, cosmetics on the DLC page for the PC version. Unfortunately, it doesn't carry over to my Switch version, but I got that because I thought those were cool. And they were premium, and they were advertised as DLC. And I was fine with that because Monster Hunter was not trying to give me a battle pass. I remember when Monster Hunter Wilds was announced, people were theorizing that this was going to be the first Monster Hunter game with a battle pass. And a lot of people like myself, behind closed doors, and a lot of other people who were content creators like, you can't do that in Monster Hunter. Didn't you see what happened in Diablo 4? It's gonna go bad for you. Lo and behold, what did they do? They didn't put a battle pass. But I'm so tired of things. Call of Duty games doing this, where they have like battle passes, but it's a retail game. Diablo games doing this. Fall Guys was a great example, a game that was free to, that I paid for, right? And every battle pass was free because you paid for it and it was a retail game. And then what ended up happening? Fortnite's company, Epic, bought it and then ruined Fall Guys, where then Fall Guys, if you had paid for the retail version after it went to free to play, they gave you a couple of founder skins in the first battle pass for free, but then after that they expected you to pay $9 for every other battle pass. So I got to enjoy Fall Guys for like the first 3 seasons when all the battle passes were free because you paid for it in the retail game. And then that shit sucked, and then I never played Fall Guys again because I was like, wow, you're locking all these cosmetics behind battle pass, and the game stopped being fun. No thank you. Get the fuck out of here, Fall Guys. Another game that I paid for, regular retail price, was Rocket League. And Rocket League still does its free cosmetic event things every once in a while, but Rocket League has been going through a dumb slippery slope. You know, they got rid of the loot boxes because they couldn't have loot boxes because of the UK rules, right? Then they gave us our loot boxes and we had no keys to be able to open our loot boxes, so they changed them into blueprints, but we can't open the blueprints because you need you need credits, and the credits are like $20 to open like a set of tires, or $20 to open a gold net. Or if you want like a fennec body or something, you gotta pay a certain amount of money to be able to open it. I still have rare bodies that I can't open in Rocket League because there's no way to earn actual in-game currency if I don't buy the battle pass. So unless I buy a battle pass, I cannot open car bodies that I have in blueprints. As opposed to back in the day, what used to happen with the loot boxes is every once in a while they would give you like a Christmas event or a special like seasonal event where you could get some keys, and with those keys you could open up your loot boxes. And they did away with that because now there's no key to open the blueprint. No, pay for everything. Pay for everything. I'm so tired of games doing this where they start off as retail and then they go to free to play, or they're retail and then they'll hide like a battle pass in their launch of things and then screw things over. Party Animals is another great example. I really like Party Animals for a whole like month or two. I paid what, $20 for the base game. I had a friend or two that wanted to play it with me, and they kind of spazzed on me and didn't play it and got cold feet or whatever. And what ended up happening was I played Party Animals for a while, and now like they're throwing in cosmetics that you have to pay for, and there's like battle passes that you have to pay for when some of the battle passes in the beginning were free. You just have to pay for premium cosmetics. And you see the trend here? Anything to keep charging you money for a game that you already fucking bought. We already had DLC for that. Then we started adding microtransactions into retail games. What's next, man? And, you know, the crazy thing is we have to also worry about, like, Nintendo Switch 2 games being $80 and shit. Like, what's next? We're going to get $80, $90 game releases that are then going to try to charge us battle passes in those $80 and $90 game releases. And then on top of that, they're going to have the audacity to charge us for cosmetics, like $20 for cosmetics, and then on top of $20 for cosmetics, they're going to charge us what? Like $30 to $40 on top of that for DLC? I don't understand what's going on with anything in modern gaming. Modern gaming is going on a fast decline if this continues, man. A fast decline, because I just don't, like, you know, at this point, I could see a lot of gamers are going to start gravitating towards indie developers. Like, what's that fishing game that everybody's playing? If you know, Dread Knights, let me know in the comments. Or, excuse me, comments. What is it? Web fishing, I think, is the game that it's called, that I've seen Random play, and I've seen a couple of other VTubers play. That's like a $5 game. And you're going to see Repo, what, that's a $9 game. And then there was Lethal Company, which I never cared to get, because who am I going to play fucking Lethal Company with anyway? And what was there? Not VHS, oh my god. What is it? Video something. It's the video one with the things that was like the ripoff of Lethal Company. Content Warning, that's the game that was called. Which it lasted for, what, a whole week or two? I missed my opportunity to get it for free when it was like for, what was it, April Fool's Day, was it? That they gave it for free or something like that? But I digress. That's not the point. The point is, like, we have those games that are like $9 and $10 that you can play with friends and have some fun with it. Stardew Valley, $15 game, indie game at great value. I think we're going to see a lot more people going to indie games on, like, Steam launches and indie games on other things and play more of those games as opposed to some of these super retail games where they're not even optimized out of the box. Don't even get me started with Diablo 4's release, where that game had nothing but memory leak issues, and I had a good computer to be able to run Diablo 4 that was way above the minimum spec requirements to play Diablo 4, and it struggles in the overworld. And then, like, there was, what else was there? There's, you know what other games were poorly optimized when they came out? Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm sorry, Capcom. You know I love you. You know I love Monster Hunter, but freaking Monster Hunter Wilds is an unoptimized mess on the PC, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done there. Like, even computers that have the right specs for Monster Hunter World can't even run Monster Hunter, or excuse me, not Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Wilds can't even run Monster Hunter Wilds correctly. So, like, there's people who have their newest computer setups, and they're still getting frame rate drops in Monster Hunter Wilds. How you have a 4090 series or the 4080s or the 40 series or the 50 series cards, and this game's still running like an unoptimized mess. God forbid you try to run it on 10. Have you ever tried to run the game Wilds on a 1660 Ti? Good luck with that. You're gonna get PlayStation 1 graphics if you're lucky, man. I should know. I tried to run that on Laptop Chan, and Laptop Chan was like, nah, son, this is not for me. Who knows if that even killed Laptop Chan just from that stuff, you know? But it's, you know, it is what it is, man. Like, nowadays, games come out, and they're not even optimized correctly, and they have to have patches, not only for day one patches, but they have to have patches to try to fix the games. Let's give another example from great Nintendo. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You know how you could get better performance in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? And this pains me greatly to even say this. If you buy the Nintendo Switch 2, a $450 system, mind you, you can get a free upgrade for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which will fix all the optimization issues. What the fuck, bros? Like, seriously, what the fuck? So, the only way to fix Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, besides putting patches out on the Nintendo Switch, is to buy a $450 Switch upgrade. Lovely. Lovely. Stuff like that should not even be allowed. Stuff like that should be, like, notify people of the BBB. Like, this shouldn't be. This shouldn't be. This shouldn't be a thing that should be allowed. Like, I'll even go a step further. I would like to see... because they did this in the UK, right? They got rid of loot boxes in the UK. I would like to see... This is one of the few times I would actually ask for it. I would like to see government regulation in video games so that they're not allowed to release battle passes or microtransactions in a game that you paid retail for. Like, DLC is fine, but they can't pay, like, microtransactions and battle passes in retail games shouldn't be allowed. I would like to see them do something about that. Because if you've already paid for the base game, and you've already paid for it, you should... Anything that's in the game... Excuse me? Anything that's in the game should be... That's coded into the game should be available to you because you paid for it. And it's locked content that you paid for, right? And it shouldn't be sold behind an extra additional fee or an extra additional service or, you know, some type of subscription model to be able to have access to it. That's one of the few times I would say, like, there needs to be some sort of regulations, government regulations, not just in America, in the UK too, to be able to prevent stuff from these practices. Because if there's regulations on stuff like that, none of this stuff would happen. And I know people are going to argue this. And to an extent, there is some truth to it, but not always. They're going to say, like, the microtransactions for battle passes, and... Like, in Fortnite, I get it because that's how Fortnite gets funding for it. And it's fine. But, like, in a retail game is what I'm particularly talking about. Like, Diablo 4... Or Diablo 4 already got a ton of money from people and also sells, like, cosmetics in the shop. How should they be allowed to charge $20 for a battle pass in a game you paid $70 for? That shit should not be allowed legally, because they're basically locking stuff that used to be free. In Diablo 3, you don't pay for battle passes. You don't pay for the seasonal journey thing to get, like, the wings and the cosmetic. All that shit's free. You paid for the base game and you paid for the expansions. That's all for you, buddy. That's why I like Diablo 3. You know what? Because even with the rotating seasons now, because they stopped doing brand new seasons, you still have chances to get wings that you never had, or mounts that you never had, which I think is phenomenal, guys. Phenomenal. But you know what? Like, we need to go back to a time where we reward our gamers for paying full retail, and paying for expansions, and paying for DLCs, but not trying to sell us extra microtransactions in your video game. Thank you for coming to my 30-minute TED Talk on Diablo 4 and why it is one of the worst business tactics that they've ever done in Blizzard. Yeah, as you can't tell, I really hate that game. But anyway, Dread Knights, how are all you doing? Are you guys excited for WrestleMania? WrestleMania is coming up, right? It's actually, by the time of this recording, when you see it, it'll actually be the day of WrestleMania. Are you looking forward to night one of WrestleMania? I'm definitely looking forward to it. I've said my reasons as to why I'm looking forward to it, but I'm definitely down for WrestleMania. I will be obviously, you know what, there for it, but as I digress. But the thing about it is, like, WrestleMania Night 1, I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't know, really, like, I've already given my predictions on things. For me, I think, like, the really major things that I want to see out of WrestleMania, I still want to see Gunther retain the championship. I don't want to see Jey Uso winning. I feel like Jey Uso winning it, although it's probably going to happen, is a bad call. I've said it before. I think if he gives Jey Uso the championship, it devalues Gunther's run. I feel like they didn't do a lot with Gunther, just because there's not a lot of good babyface on Raw, because they moved a lot of them to SmackDown to keep, like, because that's the show that's on television the most, which is a shame. So, you know, I don't think that he should have his title chain. I don't know, really, when it comes to the triple threat main event, again, Roman Reigns, Rollins, CM Punk, I think they're going to swerve it. I think Heyman is going to betray CM Punk and Reigns, and he's going to end up siding with Seth Rollins, because I think Seth Rollins needs a win for all intents and purposes. So I could see that doing. I could see him doing it, but I'm pretty excited for WrestleMania. Let me level up these gems. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these gems here, Bane of the Trap, Bane of the Stricken, and I believe the R1 that I'm using on this one is Zay Stone of Vengeance. I want to level these up as high as I can, preferably to level 100. That's why I'm doing Greater Rifts. As I go higher up in the Greater Rift, the chances decrease as I continue to level up a gem. So ideally, what I would need to do is probably go into like Greater Rift 100s at some point to be able to get the gem levels higher with a higher chance. The reason that I'm not doing that level 100 Dread Knights is because I'm kind of doing what's considered a warm-up session. What I do is I'm doing like fast speed farming so I can raise my Paragon up quite a bit. On top of that, because I'm doing fast speed runs, what can happen is I can run into a Petrified Scream. And what happens with a Petrified Scream is I can offer it to the Knights Cube. It generates a portal. I go to that portal, and it's basically like kind of a... I want to say it's a boss rush, but it's kind of like a survival type of mode, where it's about trying to kill as many creatures as you can within a certain threshold. And the reward is that you can get a Whispers of Atonement gem, which can max out at level 125, and you can use them to augment pieces of your gear, which will make your build stronger. So that's basically one of the things that we're doing by grinding out a lot of Greater Rift 90s, is to speed farm for items that we need to try to level up gems, get a Petrified Scream. Did we get one? No, we didn't. That's a Ramadan skiff, which is kind of unfortunate there. But we'll take what we can get. We'll take what we can get. We'll take what we can get. It's all about RNG, baby. All about how fast can we do more Greater Rifts. Greater Rifts, Greater Rifts, Greater Rifts. Sniff, sniff. Do you got any more of those Greater Rifts? Did I mention we're doing Greater Rifts? That's Diablo 3 for you guys. Really. I know a lot of people be like, Dread, this is very repetitive. No, this is fun to me. Games like this, where I could just constantly grind and constantly improve gear and constantly get stronger, and it gives me that real sense of progression, of leveling up, a sense of being powerful. In a way, Diablo 3 is kind of a metaphor for my whole entire life, of just trying to get stronger, not only in video games, but in life, constantly trying to improve myself, and finding the next level or threshold to try to break through, right? To break through, to pass through my limits. I just made it sound like I'm a Dragon Ball character. Well, guess what, guys? One of my favorite animes, and if you don't like this too bad, it's like my second favorite. First favorite anime of all time will be Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. That's why we watched the Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. Do you remember Love Movie? Oh, a long time ago for Valentine's Day. I mean, anybody who likes Macross is okay in my book, obviously. I mean, there was an interesting take that I had heard a while back, where somebody was not a big fan of Misa Hayase. In fact, I believe they said Misa blah. Wow, that kind of hurt my soul. Misa always, for me, was best girl, but I'll give you that. I mean, not everybody's a Misa fan. There are people who are Lin Meme fans. So, I think we can agree to disagree. I mean, they did a good job of Lin Meme in the movie, like, humanizing her. So she didn't feel like a mean character that was just kind of playing Hikaru for a fiddle. In fact, I would argue that maybe Misa moved in on that territory, and Lin Meme was more a victim of circumstance. In the TV series, though, for tongue-tied twisted, for the TV series, Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, I always felt like Lin Meme was a bit mean towards the end. Like, I don't know if she liked, or really loved Hikaru, or she just liked the idea of keeping Hikaru on the hook as much as she did. That always kind of bothered me about it, because, like, you know, no guy really ever deserves to be left on the hook by a woman. Like, and it always felt like, to me, while I was watching Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, I watched Macross for the first time in the early... It was on Toonami. I saw Robotech on Toonami, so that was my first exposure to the bastardized version of it. But when I found out that Macross was dramatically different, I tracked down the DVDs of Super Dimensional Fortress Macross in my local Chinatown. And then I saw the actual Japanese version of it, which the story is dramatically different. And that's how I fell in love with Macross, and I watched every other series after that. Macross 7, Macross Frontier, Macross Delta, Macross Plus, the movie, which is the movie / OVA, Macross 2 Levers Again, which is an OVA / movie that I don't like, and I don't like to talk about because that's one of the worst installments. I've also obviously seen, what was it? Delta, which I don't like Delta. I think the last good one was Frontier. I don't like how Frontier ended. I will agree with everybody who didn't like that. It just kind of felt like such a sad way to end that particular show. But you know what? Getting back to the point, I always kind of, in the TV series, didn't really like Minmay because, particularly in the Japanese version, they kind of made it seem like she was just kind of keeping Hikaru on the hook, and that she didn't really love him, really, and she was just kind of keeping him there as the backup plan. Like, and I don't feel like it's cool, and I know, you know, life is difficult, stuff happens, but I didn't really feel like it was very cool of Lin Mei to keep him on the hook like that. It always felt like he was the backup plan, and then always everything, like, I understand, like, you have to look at it this way. Lin Mei was a super popular idol, loved by everybody on the Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, right? She was what everybody was pining after and everything, and she was dedicated to her work, she was dedicated to her music, and she was dedicated to her job. But, you know what, in the moments when Hikaru really needed her, like, she just wasn't there. And even when Hikaru tried to be there for her and to talk to her and stuff, she was very distant. Remember when Lin Kaio got into the mix? AKA Kaifun, for the Japanese version. So when Kaifun got involved there, and that was her cousin, like, she completely ghosted Hikaru the whole time there. And, like, if her cousin didn't want him talking to him, she wouldn't talk to him, and she would just kind of stay distant and stuff. And you know what? And she kind of was like, I think she was in love with the idea of being in love, Hikaru, but never truly was there for it. And then, like, with Misa Hayase, they started out as a love and hate relationship. They couldn't stand each other in the very beginning. They fought each other, were insufferable, and they didn't like this guy, and he didn't like this old woman. And what ended up happening between the two is they start to fall in love because Hikaru realized that she was like a very stable and mature woman. And I think, I don't want to say this, but I kind of will, as a guy, a lot of the times when we're looking for the love of our life, we're looking for somebody that's going to be caring, nurturing, stable, in the sense that, like, you know that if you need them, they will be there for you. You know when times are rough, they're going to be there. You know, they're going to be there to comfort you. That's what us guys like out of women. So, like, when you look at Misa Hayase, at least from my viewpoint, growing up, and just as I got older, is, like, the ideal woman. She's kind, she's caring, she's sophisticated, she's mature, she's there for you when you need her, she's there and compassionate, but at the same time, if she doesn't like something you're doing, she will call you out on your BS. And then there's Lin Mei, who is beautiful and talented and successful, but then is immature, and doesn't really know who she is. And I guess that's why, I guess that depends on who you are and what you like in Macross, right? I could understand why people identify with Minmay, and I could understand why people will identify with Misa. Is there really a right choice there? I mean, if I'm Hikaru and I'm in that situation, man. You know, like, I always told myself never a Misa, never a Lin Mei, always a Misa. Just because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I would be dating somebody that maybe wasn't really there for me, per se, in the way that I need somebody to be there emotionally for me. So I would probably, if I were Hikaru, I'd probably choose Misa. Plus okay. This is gonna out me quite a bit here. I'll be honest with you, if you've ever wanted to know really my type, I like women that are have blue eyes. I like women who have blonde hair or that auburn / in between color of hair. I like women that are very soft and caring, gentle, you know, the type that will nurture you. I like people, you know, who are very into, like, arts. So I like people who are into theater. I've talked about this before. We talked about this in the last stream. About the people I used to go to college with, that they were international women who were incredibly talented and I appreciate it. I like people who are, like, talented, driven in that sense, artistic, whether it's musical, whether it's painting, whether it's, you know, expressions through content, video, art. There's so many different ways. I like women like that, you know, and I have my, like, when I've been looking in life, I was always like, man, I would like to have a girl that looks like Misa Hayase. Just because that aesthetic to me as a character is something that I find attractive. You know, I know it's a cartoon character, but if you apply that to an IRL woman, I find that very attractive, that, like, hair length and the eye color and the skin texture, complexion, excuse me. That's like, wow, that's cute, that's sexy, that's what Dread likes. You know, take a sip of water. So if it were me, Misa Hayase, I guess I would choose in that situation. But I would go for a Minmay if the Minmay is very stable, too. Because who knows? Like, if you look at it, when they had Macross Flashback 2012, the OVA, Lin Minmay ends up going to the Mega Road 1. That is the voyage that's going to go to, like, for a peace mission where they're going to go promote peace across the galaxy and find another planet that's going to be, like, hospitable or suitable for humans in case, like, the world completely gets destroyed or they can't live on that planet anymore. And at that point, Misa got married to Hikaru, and Lin Minmay is at the wedding there in terms of the lore, and they, like, handshake each other and everything, and they let bygones be bygones. So Minmay matured because she was able to put, not so much the grudge, but she was able to put behind the fact that Misa ended up with Hikaru and be able to go on that voyage with them and spread her journey with music and stuff. I think that's great. So that did show that Minmay had growth as she matured as an adult. And again, you can't really give Minmay a lot of flack in Macross. As much as I don't like the stuff Minmay did in the TV show to Hikaru, I'm able to understand the fact that, like, in the show, when the show starts, she's like 15 in the show. And Hikaru's like, what? It's like she's 16 or 17? And by the time the war is over, the first Macross war in it, what is it? Minmay is then, like, she had her Sweet 16, so she'd be like somewhere 17, and Hikaru would be, it was 18, 2-year jump, 19. Hikaru would be somewhere like 2021, roughly, in terms of character age. Like, feel free to correct me in the comments about that. I'm just doing the math here. It's like when the show started, Minmay's 15. Sweet 16 episode happens after Hikaru enlists. Hikaru would be 18 then. So Hikaru was already rocking the cradle, being interested in a 15-year-old. Even though you have to remember when the show was made, and in Japanese society, it's different in terms of, like, age brackets and stuff. You know, it's a much different thing, right, Dread Knights? But looking at it, just thinking about this, so Minmay would be 16, she would be 18 then. 2-year time skip after the first Macross War ends. Hikaru would be 20, roughly. She would have been 17, 18. Okay, so then she would have been, well, I guess what you would consider, even though in Japan it's different, but by American standards, she would have been considered a legal age of consent, basically, right? So then, like, there's a little bit of difference, and she kind of started to, she's still 18, right? So she's still young, and still, like, in that teenager mentality, so I can't really fault her for a lot of stuff even she does during the Lin Kyle phase. You know, because she's still impressionable, and she's got the weight of, like, trying to be an idol, and all these up things and everything. And what she's supposed to, you know, it's like a lot of pressures, and she can't, you know, have her everyday life, and I do sympathize with her, but I feel like some of the stuff that she does in the show, she didn't handle it well with Hikaru. And, like, at any time, she could have told her cousin / manager, no, fuck off, I love this dude, I'm gonna date this dude, and I'm gonna do these other things. No, but she didn't want to disappoint the fans and stuff, but I don't know. I felt like Minmay was very weak-minded in certain parts of the show, and she let other people, like, gaslight her into what she should do with her life, as opposed to really making the decision for herself. Which is why I think by the time that Super Dimensional Fortress Macross as a show ends, why Minmay, you know, what has that burnout that she has where she can't sing anymore and she doesn't want to perform anymore and to act in anything, because you know what, she was gaslighted into thinking that this is the life that she should have lived, and maybe, you know what, things could have been differently. So she never got to enjoy any of the aspects of, like, music and acting and everything that she thought she wanted to be, because she was always thrusted into this role. You know what, that was always very, very time consuming, which is sad, and that's really how it is in idol life too, right? Like, you know, it's well documented what happens to a lot of Japanese idols in Japan culture. You know, it's sad that, you know, stuff like that happens, you know, but it does. So, you know, I guess Minmay was technically a cautionary tale of what happens when you sign up for stuff of that nature. I'm not trying to be comical here. I laughed about it because I thought about the thought of my head. But I guess, you know, Minmay kind of was telling people the cautionary tale of what it's like being an idol before. And, you know, it's interesting, you know, but I guess if I'm in the situation still as Hikaru, I pick Misa, I think, if I'm him. I don't see myself picking Minmay in that situation. Just because Minmay, from my perspective, Minmay didn't love Hikaru. She loved the idea of being in love with Hikaru. and that's a problem. When you're in love with the idea of being in love with somebody, but you don't actually love them for their qualities, love them for their humor or lack of humor that they have, love them for their thoughts, love them for their good takes, love them for their bad takes, love them for their perfections, love them for their imperfections, because there is beauty in flaw. I have said this before. You know what? Not everybody is a perfect human being. What is really perfect besides a word? You know what? There's beauty in flaws. People who find themselves maybe not the best of catches, maybe not the best of people. You know what? Maybe they think they have terrible hand grips, can be beautiful in their own right, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I think it's very, very important. I think this is something that people don't really look too much into, Dread Knights. Is like, I think a lot of the times people don't realize that, you know what, there's more that, you know what, there is a flaw in beauty, right? Like, what one might find a flaw in, or one might find beautiful. You know what one might find a deal breaker to some might be something that's not a deal breaker to them, you know? That's why it's like, always tell people this, right? Like, don't sell yourself short. Don't, like, lower your, like, don't put yourself down as a person. Don't make yourself feel bad. Don't, you know what, you know, it's stuff that I don't like when people do it. I see so many people, Dread Knights, so many people in this day and age do that, where they, you know what, put themselves down, or they're like, they don't think they're good enough, or they don't think they're a thing, or they have hang-ups, or they'll call themselves, you know what, crazy, or that there's problems with themselves, or they have to self-diagnose. Like, man, guys, I can't tell you how many times I see a lot of stuff like this on the internet, and it's a shame that we've gotten like this in society, where I think there's so much pressure in regards to beauty standards and wanting to be liked, that, you know what, people out there are like so hard and down on themselves. Like, and I see it so much, it makes me so sad, right? You know, like, for me, I don't know. I don't necessarily consider myself the best catch in the world. I don't necessarily consider myself the worst catch in the world. I can keep conversations going. I love movies. I'm very good at gaming. Not that I think that's a great aspect to have. I have blue eyes, actually, in IRL, just like my model. And I'm actually pretty handsome. According to 9 out of 10 female friends say I'm handsome. You know, but, like, I've never really even asked myself, really thought of myself ever really ugly. I mean, I don't post a lot of pictures of IRL, so I have, you know, sites that I could do that on, but I don't, just because I'm a little, I don't want to say self-conscious, but I'm more of a private person. So, like, for me, I know there's a lot of people who love, like, Instagram, right? So they'll post, like, what they're doing, they'll post where they are eating in a restaurant, they'll post, like, tons of selfies. I've never been into that type of culture, because I just didn't grow up in a culture like that, where you post like 24/7 where you're at. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I'm more reserved, right? So I'll post like a picture of myself maybe once every so often if I'm feeling up to it, or I'll post, like, you know, something, but I try to, like, avoid being in the public spotlight quite a bit. On top of that, because of the work that I do, necessarily I don't want my face being shown too much in a lot of, like, places, because obviously I do stuff in the film and television industry. A lot of times they don't really want somebody who usually is supposed to be behind the camera and behind those doors doing stuff being in front of the camera. It's kind of like a no-no, because on top of that, obviously when I go for, like, you know, clients, to sign more clients, or to go do job interviews, or to do this or that, like, a lot of things that they do is they go through social media searches, and, like, having a lot of photos of stuff like me at bars and shit. Like, a lot of my friends do that. They'll post, like, themselves at bars. They've even wanted to take pictures with me at, like, bars and shit. And I kind of avoid taking pictures like that, because I don't want them, like, up on social medias, because you never know who's looking at that type of stuff, right? That's why I try to avoid taking a lot of pictures. On top of that, just, like, I'm not a picture guy. I don't feel like I take good pictures. Maybe when I was a little kid, I took better pictures, and even then, like, Mama Dread will actually confirm this, as well as Sister Dread would confirm this. There's a picture of me as a little kid in Florida, and my dad tried to take a picture of me, and it's hot. And if you don't know this about me, I hate heat. I don't do well in heat. I get very sick when it's very, very hot outside. I even get blisters in the sun. Like, I had to use sunblock SPF what was it, 75 or 70, something like that, when I was a kid, because if not, I'll burn and get blisters, right? So when I was at like Disney World, I don't know if I was like 3 or 4, my dad tells me, according to the story of the picture, because I don't remember, I'm a little baby back then, I can't remember shit like that, he said, turn to daddy and smile, and I turn, and I'm hot, and I give this big pouty face, and that's the picture that they have of me. So even when I was like 3 or 4, I don't take good pictures. I'm not like a picture guy. I just don't like it. I can't tell you why I don't like it. I just don't like to be photographed. It's just, I feel like there's something very impersonal about being photographed by other people. And I just don't like to post pictures of myself because I feel like it's just very... Photographs to me are like personal things, right? So like, for me, like if somebody wants a photo of me, I'd be like, yeah, sure. I'll give you the thing. I'm not like into posting photos on social media. Like my Facebook, well, I can't really say. Okay, I can't say exactly, but on my Facebook, I don't even have a picture of myself on my Facebook. I have a picture of a movie horror icon, and that's the most I can say because I can't say what movie horror icon it is because people will probably find my Facebook then if they did it. But I have an icon of a horror character from a horror film. I don't have my actual self. The reason for that is because I just don't like people having that type of information because employers look up things and stuff. I have all my shit private, really, for that. Like, the only thing that's not private at the moment is a certain account that I gave to Rabbit because that was something that has like 12 years worth of stuff about me, so I felt like wanting to share 12 years of stuff about me to them, and they're the only one that has that information in case they ever want to peek that out, because I trusted them with that. And there's like stuff there of photos and shit of me, but you know, so that's why I don't really do stuff of that nature. But I could definitely, going back to the point, like I can see why in the social media age why so many women have such self-esteem issues, because there's just too much going on. You know, like I took a class on this actually, which is the media and culture, how media influences culture around us in the world, right? So one of the things that was heavily talked about, and keep in mind, this is kind of crazy, like I was like one of the only males in that class. Like everybody that took media and culture was predominantly women. So like it was me and one other dude in the class and the rest were women, right? But it's important to learn media and culture because it shows you how media shapes culture and the thinking that people do behind and how it shapes people's thinking, right? So like in particular, there was a big lengthy portion of the class that discussed body image and how, you know what, in media they will have women that look beautiful. They will have women that have like big boob sizes. They will have women that are super tall. They will have women who are very slim and slender, or, you know, very voluptuous. But a lot of the time media back then wouldn't have women that are like plus size people, or women that were short, or women that had glasses, or women that were considered... I don't even like to use the word average because I think that's fucked up to call anybody average, because I think everybody's beautiful in their own right. But you know, there's beauty standards, right? Where like average woman, quotations, not my word. And that how, you know, in movies they would only show the most beautiful women. In magazines, when there were models for like lingerie, it would only be the most beautiful, voluptuous women. And how in video games, even women are only portrayed as these voluptuous beauty things. And even, I guess you could say, to a certain degree, even in VTuber culture, if you look at all the models of women VTubers, what is the identity of them? Very big, busty models, very voluptuous, very revealing clothing. So it's interesting how you can see how media has shaped the beauty standards of women. So women that see this stuff on the internet, see this stuff in, you know, movies, television, streams, whatever you want to call it, get very low perceptions of the self and self-esteem because they think that this is what necessarily, you know, what every guy wants, or everybody wants, or every like company wants, or whatever. And it's messed up how much media can like fuck up people's perception of what's important in life. Like really, really, really. Like I can't tell you how many times in the movie industry, and I'm not going to get in trouble for this because this is a known fact, that there will be a role in a film, right? and the film role in the script will have it completely described where it has to be a tall, voluptuous Caucasian woman in it, or it'll have to be like a slim and slender, petite Asian woman. Like, it's literally described. And there used to be a time when scripts were written where they didn't go that descriptive, so that anybody and everybody could kind of fit the part, right? So it just goes to show you, even in roles that are live action roles, how much a beauty standard affects things. Like, look at Uma Thurman, right? Uma Thurman, back in the day, was considered not very pretty by a lot of people's standards, so she didn't get a lot of good roles, and it wasn't until, like, Tarantino really did stuff with her. But if you've always looked at her, she didn't get really those type of roles. But then if you look at somebody like Scarlett Johansson, notice how she's always casted in these very seductive roles. Like, look at Black Widow. Even in Black Widow, a Marvel character, when Black Widow wasn't super seductive in the comic, she's, like, written to be this very seductive character, both in movement. When you look at, like, Ghost in the Shell, the live-action film, I know a lot of people hated it. I didn't think it was that bad, but I didn't think it was good by any standard. I thought it was an okay film. I didn't want to cancel it the way some people, like, threw a shit fit over that film. But, you know what? Scarlett Johansson as the Major. Major is written to be this voluptuous, beautiful, you know, busty character. Scarlett Johansson gets the role for that. The person who plays the opposite of Jennifer Connelly's character in, what is it? How to Lose a Guy? Not How to Lose a Guy. What was it called again? The movie about guys. Like, I forgot what it's called now because I watched it such a long time ago. It had Bradley Cooper in it, and, you know, it was about guys and how they act towards women. I forgot the name of it. But Scarlett Johansson plays the adulteress in that film, where Jennifer Connelly's married to Brad Cooper. And, you know, that's that character. Let's look at Batman movies. Not the more recent ones, because they actually did an interesting casting decision for Catwoman in the Batman. But previous to that, Batman, what is it called? Returns. Michelle Pfeiffer, because they wanted a Catwoman that looked like Selena Kyle, which is slim, slender, and blonde. Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays one fucking amazing Catwoman in that film, and a decent Selena Kyle. I think they could have written Selena Kyle a little bit better. You know what? Ooh, Catwoman. Who is it? Michelle Pfeiffer, because Michelle Pfeiffer was considered hot back then. Who else is there? Oh, Catwoman for the Nolan films. Who did they pick for that? Because they wanted someone who's a little bit busty and slim and slender, but they didn't want Selena Kyle with, like, blonde hair like how it was in the anime film, the animated series. So they got, like, more traditional. Who'd they get? Anne Hathaway. I think that wasn't the best casting decision for a Catwoman, but you know what? They wanted somebody that was considered beautiful and seductive. Who did they get? Anne Hathaway for that. Various different movies. Who have they gotten recently? Because they needed a character that was blonde and, you know, voluptuous and the ideal image of what a guy would like in a girl, quote unquote. Not my words, because I don't think that's the case. Like I've said before, who'd they get? Jennifer Lawrence. So you can see there's like a recurring theme. Has Hollywood gotten a little bit better with this stuff lately? Yes and no. Like, if the role calls for somebody voluptuous in an action role and stuff, I still feel like they're probably gonna get Scarlett Johansson, because look at Jurassic Park, the new one that's coming out. Who'd they get for that particular character the way it was written? Scarlett Johansson. Didn't even think of Uma Thurman. Didn't even think of, like, various other actresses that are up and coming. You know what? They went with Scarlett Johansson. Why? Because she's a marketable name on top of that. Because, unfortunately, you have to have some type of name also in Hollywood to be able to, like, really give it these things. Which is such a shame, man. Such a shame, man. You know how many, like, I can't even tell you this enough because of all the things I've done in the past. Like, I've known some really, really good voice actors that just do voice acting for video games, and voice acting for animes, and voice acting for cartoons, that were phenomenal actors that, you know what, didn't get roles in movies that should have gotten roles in movies because they were way good at that stuff. And in my personal opinion, they would have fit the description of the part. Tara Strong in particular, she could have done a lot of IRL acting, and I think she would have been great at it. I mean, there's some people who just want to be voice actors in their life, and that's cool. But I know a lot of people that, you know what, were like stage actors that acted in theater and stuff. And then, like, they tried to get a break in Hollywood, but because Hollywood is unfortunately the business that it is, which is more about visuals and markability and names, and they don't take chances on people anymore, which gets me really mad about Hollywood right now, is that, like, there's some really good scripts that get, like, denied, even in Gates meetings. I've seen it happen firsthand, just because, like, the scripts are for new movies that aren't, like, remakes or book adaptations and stuff. I've seen people in casting calls get passed up in casting calls simply because, like, the role called for a person of this build and this height, and they didn't have that build or height, but they had, like, the personality and acting, and you can't tell me you can't change the fucking script. It's the height. Who cares about the height? The height doesn't have to be the vision of the movie, but there's some directors who will not compromise on the vision whatsoever. No, this woman has to be super tall and this. No, I mean, there's some actors, obviously actresses, that dye their hair for the role, but I've seen even in casting where, like, nah, she wouldn't look good even if she dyed her hair, because she would look awkward and would just be a bad dye job. And they've seen casting directors literally fucking say this in rooms. And it's just insane, man. It's insane. You know, I'll tell you a story one time of journalism work, and this got me so angry. Anybody familiar with a character, an actress by the name... She was in Death Proof, right? So she played Zoe in the movie Death Proof. She was the blonde stunt woman. I forget her name. My apologies. That I think she might be Zoe in real life, too. I think she goes by her IRL name in the movie, too. But she was Zoe. So she was a stunt woman. She's been a stunt woman in Hollywood for so many years. I think she's done a lot of stunt work with Tarantino in his films quite a bit. So she had a movie coming out, right? In Comic-Con. And I will never forget this. I was there as a journalist, and she had, like, a round table for her movie, and nobody showed up for it, right? There was nobody that was interested. There was nobody that was willing to sit down at that New York Comic-Con to, like, have the round table and ask her questions. And you could tell in her face how, like, upset and sad and just awkward she was just being there on the table, and nobody was interested in having interviews with her, because she wasn't a big Hollywood actress name. In fact, and it's so sad that I have to tell the story like this, I was in the press room, and I remember, like, from afar away, people were asking, oh, who's that? And they're like, oh, that's the girl from Death Proof. She was in it. And people were like, oh, man, that nobody is here? Why did they even have her having a thing? Because she was, you know what? And these are, like, journalists, man. So people are fucking scumbags. That's why I don't work in journalism anymore, man. It's like, some of the stuff that people have no chill, right? And sometimes people will think that they're way more important in life than they really actually are. You know, at the end of the day, we're all kind of like small little specks in this microcosm that we call the universe. But yeah, you know what? Like, I remember she was sad and shit, and these people are like mumbling under their breath, like, oh, why did anybody invite that nobody here? Why does this nobody get a thing, man? And that sucks, man. Don't, like, that's just shitty, man. But, you know, I've seen it happen with actresses and stuff too. Like, it's Hollywood is so brutal, man. I always tell people, don't give up, because you never know, right? All it takes is running into the right person. All it takes is that one big break. All it takes is that one big chance. All it takes is that one person willing to give you a shot, never, you know, doubting yourself when it comes to roles and what you can achieve, to be able to, like, do something. And the reason I'm saying this, really, just to be honest with you, is because I, like, heard a while back from somebody that I guess I would consider, like, a friend in a way. I heard them, like, being down on themselves about not being able to audition for something, and, like, not having as much, like, I guess, big credits under their belt, like some of their other peers. And I you know, it's like, oh, man, if I could have reached through the computer screen to give that person a big hug and, like, reinforce everything and to keep, like, motivating them to not, like, give up on that shit, just because I know how the industry is, because obviously I come from that shit, and I've sat in meetings, and I've done casting. I've had to, like, be like, no, this isn't it, and I've, you know, I try to give people all chances I possibly can when I'm in the power position to do stuff of that nature. But, like, it's like, when I hear stuff like that, it just upsets me personally, because I know a lot of the struggles that a lot of people go through, you know, because I've been on the opposite side of it, seeing what happens with these people, you know, on two different opposite sides of it, and it's just like, man, you know, it's just entertainment is rough, right? It's like VTubing, right? VTubing is rough too, right? Like, I'm not even, it's not even a gender thing, really. It's just VTubing is rough. You gotta have like a good break. You gotta have your fan base keep coming back. You gotta have people that, you know, want to watch you. Sometimes you gotta get lucky and be viral. Anything that you do entertainment-wise is really rough. Like even video games, like when indie game developers make stuff like Stardew Valley, you never know if it's going to be a hit. You're taking a chance. You're taking your fortune. You never know what's going to happen with it. You're selling maybe parts of your game off to another company. You know, you take a chance. But like I always say, like if you have something you really, really, really want to do, or if it's like talk to the love of your life, confess to the love of life, or you want to get that big acting role, or you want to make it into like a big corporation, or you want to be like a really good VTuber with a lot of big fan base, or you want to be the best gamer in the world. That's something that I always want to be. Or you want to, you know, make a movie, or you want to make a good, you know, film or great song that people remember. Like, keep at it, man. Don't give up. Don't let people tell you you can't do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams, right? I know that's the biggest cliche. Like, work hard for it. You know what? I don't want to tell people it can't happen, because I've seen people say, oh, well, maybe it's just never going to happen. I think that's like a fucked up way of looking at things. Yeah, it's possible that maybe it doesn't happen, but you don't take away people's hope, right? You shouldn't do that ever in life, you know? That's a shitty way. I saw, I'll be honest with you. There was something a long time ago that I was a part of. Not a part of, but I was sitting in on the stream, right? It was a big streamer. I won't say who its name. I'm not name dropping. That, like, people were asking, I guess, for advice because they're in a bigger position in this field than what are people like me or like you or whoever's the next aspiring VTuber to be. And like the advice they gave, they're like, oh yeah, we'll just keep making stuff, but you know, be aware that, you know, it may never work out for you, which I think is a good point to make out. But like the way they said it was so condescending, man. Like, and I don't know, like, my type of thing for motivating isn't like, oh, well, maybe it'll never happen. It's like, work hard, trust the process, keep putting yourself out there, keep honing your skills, and then maybe one day it'll happen. That's the right way to tell somebody to keep faith. But when you say, oh, maybe it'll never happen to you, though, like, that's just like, that's a bad way of looking at things, right? Because it's, I know some people are like, oh, realism, yeah, but like, it's just, I don't know, I don't venture in stuff like that. I mean, I've seen some stuff, I'll be honest with you, from different people who are way higher up in the food chain, that when they like talk about this stuff and they put like, it's not that it doesn't set well with me, but some of the stuff comes up very condescending. And just like, if you know the way that, I don't know, like the way that they, if you knew like some of the stuff, like I've said this before, a lot of people always want to be like the next Mori Calliope, or the next, well, she's on her way out, thanks for the memories, everything. I never really watched her, but she did pave the way. Like the next Gura, or the next Zentrea, or the next Iron Mouse. And I don't understand, not in Iron Mouse's case, but in like Mori Calliope's case, or in Gura's case, they already had a very large existing fan base. All they did was just get financial backing. You know, so like when you compare yourself to people like that, who already had a head start, that had to work for the audience, and got like a really big audience anyway, it's like, it's not a fair comparison, you know? So like, that's why I'm like, you know, when you're asking for advice from people, I think it's better to ask for advice from people who might still be rooted in more humble beginnings, as opposed to people that have already reached a higher echelon of success, because they are not going to view things the same way you do. And let's be honest, as much as I don't want to say this about VTubing, it applies to a lot of people, not myself. There are people in the VTubing sphere that are high up in the food chain that would prefer if they continue to eat and everybody stays beneath them. Why? Because if there's a lot more people out there, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more, you know, popular people out there, that means there's less viewers. So this is one of those, like, words of advice to people. You know, there's that saying, don't meet your heroes, which doesn't always apply but can apply into the VTuber industry to a certain extent. That, you know what, be careful, don't meet your heroes because you might be disappointed. Again, as much as you idolize a lot of people and look up to them, remember that these people are in a business, and the more numbers that they can keep, the better it is for them. Not everybody wants to see everybody succeed in this industry. And you can kind of tell, based on the way people give advice, as to those people who are really there to help people out, and those people that are just giving that, like, half-assed type of advice because they just kind of have to answer the question, and they need to, like, save face, but you can tell in the way they say it and how they say it that it's not as sincere as maybe other people that will say, like, what is the best microphone for you, or, you know, what should you do in terms of voice training, or how should you sing this way. Like, you can tell there's a big difference, and you know, there's very big differences. You can tell, I can spot it. I can spot sincerity in my own way, who's sincere and who's not. And that's all I'm gonna really say about that, because that's not my place. But I just wanted to point that out to people, because I've seen a lot lately. Like, I see people always comparing themselves to big people. Like, no, don't do that. Don't compare to big people. When you start comparing to big people, you are going to, first of all, you're going to copy big people, and you should never copy what other people are doing, because that's a bad thing, right? Because then you're gonna, or what happens is people copy big people's designs. Remember that Shy Lily controversy? I don't even watch Shy Lily because she's not my cup of tea. That's way too lewd content that I'm not into. I find it vulgar. For me personally, that's why I don't watch it. No disrespect to Shy Lily, just not my stuff. But I remember that there was the VTuber that had a very similar design to Shy Lily. That it looked very whale-like as well. And people tried to cancel them on the internet, and they changed the design up a little bit and stuff. You know, so why do I bring that up? Because the thing is, like, this is why I say be careful, not try to, like, want to be the next insert name, is because a lot of times people fall through the pitfalls, right? And they will create this character, or they'll create this model, or they'll create this gimmick that is like the Teemo version of Shy Lily, or the Teemo version of Mori Calliope, or God Grota, or Zentreya, even though I think it's hard to kind of replicate Zentreya. You know what? And they don't really do anything for themselves to kind of really stand apart. Like, yeah, okay, my model is a dragon VTuber. I modeled my model the way that I kind of was going to model an actual dragon model of myself. When I was originally going to start doing this thing, I wanted to use, what was it called? Animes, and I just wanted to use the dragon for it. But because there was, like, so many licenses and stuff, I ended up not using it. And that's right around the time that V-Roid came out. And this was, like, the next best thing. I was like, well, I'm just going to model a dragon character out of myself. And eventually I learned a lot of ins and outs to get the model the way I look. So I don't look necessarily like every other garden basement version of a V-Roid. I've done things to perfect the hair. I've done things to, like, you know, with the skin textures, with the eyes. I've done things to try to, like, I need better horns, yeah, but that's kind of hard to do based on the technology that I'm working with, because there aren't really great options for horns to really make it look perfect. But you know what? But I like the design. I mean, if you've seen the old comparisons that I've done on the channel before, like, I've posted it up on social media. I just posted the first Dread model versus the current Dread model, and you'll see over the years how much I've honed and perfected it, because I wanted this to stand out as the only Ryuji Dread, so that when you look at this, you know it's Ryuji Dread, and it's not me being budget anybody else. And that's basically what I've tried to strike out to. I mean, in VTuber models, obviously there's going to be similarities. I'll take a story. There was a company, I won't mention them by name, that did try to steal a design of Category Jinro, and I had to tell them, no, you cannot do that, because I do have trademark and copyright over Category Jinro's design, because I'm the one who created it, and I took the necessary steps. So I had to tell them, you can't use that artwork because it looks way too similar to mine and would violate my trademark and stuff. It happens, you know what? Can people have similar ideas? Yeah, almost certainly. But you know, in this business, sometimes you have to protect it. But the point that I'm trying to make is, don't be yourself. Come up with an original idea. And when people start idolizing other people and wanting to be like the next thing, I can screen cap there because I want to show that off on social media. What ends up happening is you end up copying people, and then it becomes like You're the Timo version of this, and that's not. Gotta be original, gotta be you, gotta do you, gotta be who you are. That's like words to live by here. Now, maybe not everybody's gonna like who you are. That's the honest truth. I know here on this channel, I've been doing it 4.5 years. There are people who like me, and then there are people who don't like me. A lot of the people who do like me for the fact that I try to present myself as the most real human being that I could possibly be. I give it to you straight. I tell things how it is. I don't pull punches. Like, if I think something sucks, like Nintendo Switch 2 prices in games, I will say it sucks. And if Nintendo gets mad at me, I'll be like, okay, Nintendo, you can get mad at me, but here's the evidence, and I show IRL me, and Nintendo will be like, oh, man, it's him. You know what? If I don't like Diablo 4, I say Diablo 4 is in a terrible game state right now where it's boring and not fun to play. If Blizzard is unhappy about that, too bad. This is what you know when you get here on this channel, that I am going to be blunt, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to just tell things as it is. That is my personality as Dread, that is my personality as myself. I'm not playing a character here when I VTube. I am literally 100% of myself. What you see here is what you get in real life for me. You know, I've made quite a career off of being a critic for, you know what, games, and I critiqued films, and I've critiqued other things where people, you know what, have brought me onto things because they wanted my opinion. Because my opinion and my critiques, as brutally honest as they are stuff that they need to be able to improve their products. And when people bring me in for stuff like that, I do my best to help them. You know what? That's the one thing about me that a lot of people don't know. I'm harsh, but I'm truth, and the criticisms always come from a fair assessment. Never done out to be negative, never done out of malice, never done out of hatred. Just done out of, you know what, fair criticisms. And that's me. And a lot of people will like my personality for that, and have gravitated to the channel. 700 and what is it right now as of this recording? 748 people have liked EG Dread. That's not big numbers, but it's enough to show you that 748 people thought I was interesting enough. You know what? And it's the thing. I've always been real on the channel. That's me. Some people don't like that because, you know what? Sometimes being as open as I am, as honest as I am, can ruffle feathers sometimes, right? Because there's, like, different ways to do VTubing, and the way that I do VTubing is not necessarily the way other people like for me to be doing VTubing. I've said this before. It's not like I'm making enemies, but there are people who want me to just do lore. I have to be a lore VTuber and have to have lore and all that stuff, because everybody and their mother is doing that. And I've said I don't want that. I want to just be like how any other streamer is. Because I feel like that connection between you, Dread Knights, and the viewers, and new viewers coming in, is going to be more respectable than if I'm just doing some smoke and mirror thing. On top of that, I'm a guy, right? So realistically, as a guy, if I were to do like lore stuff like how I did with Category Jinro, that's not going to attract my targeted demographic. My targeted demographic is the 18 to 34 demographic. The guys that are going to be like, oh man, this is a dude that I can have a beer with. This is a dude that, you know what, can tell stories. This is a dude that shares similar opinions and thoughts to myself. This is a guy I can relate to. And that is why I don't do lore, and I don't play a character, and I don't play up, and I just be myself here, because that's important. I think it's important to be yourself. I'm not saying other people aren't themselves, but I just know that this is how I do things. And it might not be the way everybody wants me to do things, and it might not be the way everybody likes me to do things, or even audience members, some that have been here that don't like the way things are, but that's how it is. That's what makes me happy. I want to be authentic, I want to be genuine, I want to be true to myself. And the only way I can do that is being me. You know, so that's my message to everybody that's trying to be VTubers, or trying to find their footing, or trying to get that first 10K video, because I'll be honest with you, when I did the first 10K video, it's just me being me. It's just me being a nerd about fucking Diablo 3, where I was like, okay, this is the guide for the build, this is how you play it, let me show you how you do it in 20 minutes or less. That's the build, go copy that advice, and you'll be able to do what I do in no time. That's how I got the 10K view videos, that's how I got the 8K view video. The other videos that I got that have lesser views but are very popular on the channel is me giving an opinion on WWE 2K Battlegrounds. It fucking sucks, don't buy that game. You know what? It's me just being honest, being open, being true to people, being true to the viewers, being true to myself. And that is always what I've done on the channel, and that's why I always do it as my VTuber self as well. If you like that, thank you. I appreciate you rocking with me. I hope you continue to rock with me for however long we do this. And hopefully we get to do this still for a little bit longer. Because, you know what, year 5 is close to coming up. And, you know, if we can make it to May 4th, that would be ideal. 5-year anniversary. You know what? And if things are not exactly what you like, I'm sorry, man. I'm not, I guess you're a VTuber, but I'm pretty sure that the way I do things will allow me to have an audience that just doesn't watch VTubers. Like I said before, I look at my analytics. I look to see who's following me, and I'm very surprised with the analytics, because when I'm looking at the people who are following me and who are the ones subscribed to the channel and who are the ones watching my content, I am actually their first VTuber, which shows me that I am able to convert non-VTuber watchers into actual VTuber watchers, because I don't do what other VTubers do. I just play the game and stream, and I just have this model, and that's how I interact with everybody. You know what? So that's cool, and that's great. You know what? I've seen some interesting correlations too, where I have some viewers now that watch Unhallowed stuff, which I think it's kind of interesting, the comparisons, because I just, no matter how much I try to not be near Unhallowed and stand out as myself, I always kind of end up somehow having people from Unhallowed community always come back here, which is cool. Like I've always said, anybody that's from the Unhallowed community is always welcome here as part of the Dread Knight army. Obviously, people are jailbirds. I welcome jailbirds here with loving and open arms. Any jailbird. I have no problem with jailbird. You are very welcomed here. It's Narissa. Anybody that comes from Narissa's camp is always welcome. 100% open arms here. Anybody that's a Pebo from Kokoseki Biju, welcome open arms here as well. You know what, like, that's my thing about my community, is even if you're members of other people's communities, that is cool. That is great, because I've always been in the mentality, when it comes to VTubing, that everybody has a place in VTubing, everybody belongs, and I'm not a person that wants to compete with anybody. And maybe that's why, you know what, things are the way they are now, because I don't view people as competition. I would love, I don't think this will ever happen, but I would love to be able to work with everybody. Everybody. I would love to work with everybody at some point. And I don't mean that like just like Hollow Live, or I mean in general. Like for me, I don't view anybody as competition. I just want all of us to eat well. I want all of us to thrive. I want all of us to uplift each other. I want all of us to stop putting each other down and lifting each other up. I don't think any of us should be competition, because I feel like as a community of YouTubers, we would be a lot stronger as a whole if we did away with some of the child juvenile stuff. Will that get to happen? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of an ideal VTuber utopia that will never possibly exist. But for me, anybody that ever comes here, you're never going to be my competition, because I don't want to compete with anybody. I don't view people like that, you know. But everybody from any fan base is always welcome here. Will jailbirds probably get more special treatment from me than other people? Yes, probably they will. Because, you know, anybody that comes from that community has always been very kind to that person, which is very important to me. So, obviously, there's that, you know, but yeah. You know, but it's funny, because sometimes I'll see it and I'm like, is that a jailbird icon? And they're like, yeah, it's a jailbird. Wow, that's kind of fucking cool that a jailbird follows me. So I'll see a Pebble icon, and I'll be like, wait, is that a Pebble icon? That's freaking cool that there's a Pebble icon here. Or I'll see somebody that's following Senzawa. Like, wow, this person knows who Senzawa is. That's freaking cool. Or I have people who follow Randon. Like, they know the Orc-Man. I know Orc-Man very well. Orc-Man. A very wise orc. You know, or I'll see somebody that follows Casper, you know? And it's cool, because I get to see people that follow. It's like, you know, I try to always stay by myself on my own, doing my own thing. But it's kind of cool sometimes to see some correlations. And, you know, for the people who subscribe, I always greatly appreciate it. People who aren't subscribed, who are watching this and enjoy, and this is going to be a little bit of a silly plug, but maybe you should consider subscribing if you like these little rants that I do while I'm playing high-tier gameplay. You know, and do Diablo. I'm trying to do Diablo at least one time a week in these things. I need a sip of water, so I'm gonna butter mash here.
I am returning to town.
Alright, Dread Knights, yeah. So like I was saying, you know, for me, that's how I view things. And I wish more people would view it that way. But it's cool for the correlations every once in a while. But believe it or not, a majority of all my viewer base is I'm their first VTuber. So that, I mean, somewhere out there in the world, I could possibly be a normie's first Oshi. Can the dream possibly come true? Somebody would actually Oshi me? That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Could it be I could possibly be somebody's Kami Oshi? Never really thought about things like this. I mean, I've always been like, just make content, right? That's always my focus. I try to keep the conversation going. I try to keep it, you know, flowing, at least consistent. I like to try to talk a lot because I know that when I watch other people's streams, no comparisons, like not for shade. Sometimes I watch people and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of dead air in between what they say. And they're not reading chat either, so I feel like that's like a little bit of an awkward pause that I personally try to avoid. I mean, when I very first started doing videos, if you watch my first video, which is a Friday the 13th video, we might watch it for when I do the 5th anniversary celebration, which is coming out May 4th, assuming Laptop Chan doesn't die before then. Knock on wood. One of the things that I would like to do is probably we could go back and watch the old first video I ever made. If you watch my first video that I ever made, and then you watch like a video in year 2, there's a really big difference. First of all, I was super, super hyper that first year. And like for me, like when I got like a 16 views on a video, I was like, wow, 16 viewers. Then when we got to year 2, I started fucking hitting 10K videos and 5K videos and 4K videos. I kind of got into the groove of like guide making and how to try to keep conversations going and like trying to fit as much talking possible into like 20-minute videos. And that was kind of crazy. I think in year 3, I really got more comfortable in being able to concentrate on gaming so I could perform high-level play while also continuing to carry on the conversation. In year 4, I don't know. I feel like I've just kind of gotten a good mix of everything. Obviously, there's room for improvement, like anything, you know? Anything that's live, sometimes I'll have a thought, I'll be like, you know? Or, because it's human nature, I can't, like, force that out of me because this is a live setting. In an edited video, like when you see I do clips that are trimmed, I trim down a lot of stuff when I have rants like this because they're really good for short-form content. What I'll do, this is like pulling the veil back behind actual YouTube content creation that I do. A lot of times I'll cut, like, a 30 or 40-minute plot into, like, a 1 or 2 minute video. What I do is I obviously will take it, I put it into DaVinci Resolve, is the one that I'm using before. I used to use Sony Vegas for a while, but then Sony Vegas didn't, you know, it had its updates where then, like, you don't own particularly the content. So that's why I tried to avoid using it anymore because, like, I want control over my content like that. So I'm using DaVinci now. It took a while to learn DaVinci because I had to relearn Adobe Premiere controls to be able to do it. But what I do is I put like a long video, a 2-hour stream after it's been aired, and I will put it into DaVinci Resolve. And what I do is I look for like the best rant that I had for the day or something that's funny. And what I do is I compress it as much as I can down to a minute video, and wherever I have like a, you know, where I just cut it out and then it makes a clear, concise thought. And what the hope is when I put out stuff like that is I throw it up on not just YouTube. Like, I throw it up on TikTok. I'll throw it up on, what's it called? Starlight for Blue Sky. I throw it up on Blue Sky. I'll throw it up on Instagram. I throw it up on Facebook. I throw it up on everywhere that's not YouTube, right? And the hope is that when I put stuff out like that, I get people who might not be familiar with my content, and they'll interact with me. And it happened with, like, the Nintendo Switch 2 video. Here on YouTube, it didn't do very well. I put it up on TikTok, and it blew up to, like, a 500 view video. I think it's going into the thousands now. I have a whole bunch of people commenting on the thoughts of whether they're getting a Switch 2 or not, and their opinions. And it's think. That's why it's, like, sometimes you can't just do, like, YouTube content. That's another thing that a lot of content creators don't realize. Like, I used to do Twitch and YouTube. So I would stream on Twitch more than I would in, what was it, year 3? I want to say it's year 3. Yeah, year 3 was when I kind of deviated my time away. So I did less YouTube and more Twitch. So I spent more time on Twitch, and then there'd be like a YouTube video once or twice a week. Maybe it was 3 times a week. I can't really remember because it was 3 years ago. Like, I could barely remember what I had for dinner yesterday. What did I have for dinner yesterday, Dread Knights? I don't remember. What was it? was Taco Bell. Okay. So, yeah. But what I was saying is, like, you know what, I don't remember, but it was, like, at least 3 times on YouTube and then a whole bunch of Twitch streams. And the Twitch stream, I was doing Twitch streams for 4 hours at one time. And then there was a situation where I was doing it, like, for 8 hours grinding for affiliate. And that's what I would do, because I would do these things to diversify content, you know, and have it in different platforms. So some people would be on Twitch and be like, oh, shit, I remember you from YouTube. Oh, that's so cool that you're here. Or what would happen is people from Twitch would be like, oh, you have a YouTube channel? You put guides out and stuff? And they would come over from Twitch to YouTube because they prefer to watch maybe YouTube, and they would subscribe that way. And that's how you did it. Like, you have to cross-fade. I know this is a conversation that's come up before, and, you know, like I said, I've been thinking about going back to Twitch, not full-time, but I have been thinking about diversifying again because YouTube algorithm lately hasn't been kind. I was thinking I like giving Twitch because I see a lot of people, my peers, that are over in Twitch right now, and they're doing well, and some of them are more on Twitch now than they are on YouTube. I think it would be kind of cool to maybe get back into that, but it's going to be a progress. It's like Laptop Chon. I don't know how she would handle a Twitch stream. And on top of that, like, there's other things that have to still be worked out kink-wise, because like I've said, sometimes my internet very, very good, sometimes my internet very, very bad. And with Twitch, where it could be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Unstable, unpredictable. There is a possibility that, you know, the Twitch streams would be pretty bad. The last Twitch stream that I did was a Jaws NES speedrun, where I said I will end stream once I do a good speedrun with no deaths. I think it only took me 30 minutes, right? And the speedrun ended up coming out to a 7-minute and 16-second clear time, which got me 75th place in the world for Jaws NES. I could do much better than that. I haven't been able to practice lately. I do want to do more speedrun like that stuff, and maybe on Twitch. Maybe we do it on YouTube, so we get the perfect run. I don't end till I get the perfect run and the perfect speedrun. It's something I'd like to do. I don't know how many of you would be interested in watching something like that, but it's stuff that I'm thinking about. Like, I'm thinking about Year 5 ideas, right? So, like, I've already talked about the controversial thing that I'd like to do, where I would like to have the boss, aka IRL self, appear on stream at some point. I have been thinking about it. I really would like to kind of do how K-san does, where if I want to do an IRL stream, I could do an IRL stream. If I'm out somewhere at an event or something, I could IRL stream as myself and be able to cover and give guys more interactive and, like, cool content and show you more about myself personally and the type of, like, gaming stuff I do and the type of gaming stuff I go to. You know what, and I think that would be kind of cool to do. I've been thinking about, you know what, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG stuff, too, because I'm definitely, you know, doing stuff in the TCG world again. I would definitely like to, you know what, maybe do, like, pack openings or deck buildings, and, you know, I'd do, like, a hand cam stream, so I've been thinking about stuff like that. I don't know if anybody would be interested in watching my freaking hairy palm hands with, you know what, my cuticles even cut, because I don't have good, like, upkeep on my hands right now. I have a cuticle that's cut on my thumb, but that's not the point here. But, I just ripped it off too like an idiot. But yeah, you know, I'd like to do stuff like that. You know, I'm thinking those would be kind of cool ideas. Cooking streams, we ain't doing no cooking streams. I'm sorry. I can cook. I know how to cook just fine, but you know what? Trying to stream and cook at the same time sounds like I'm gonna burn down my kitchen, and I cannot afford to lose my home right now. So that's cooking streams is a no-go. Maybe in the future, like, I'll put, like, hey, look, I cooked this, and this was the recipe I followed, or something like that. But if people are interested in that, we'll do that. Watch-alongs, like I said, I'm trying to veer away from movie watch-alongs, just because, like, I don't like reacting to content. I feel like reacting to content is very lazy type of thing. I feel like it's borderline stealing content from people. So I try to veer away from, even though I'm doing critical film analysis on our movie watch-alongs that we do, I try to veer away from it, but I am thinking maybe I'm doing Monkey next week, because it's a film I want to watch, and I'm not going to have the time to watch it unless I watch it on stream with these guys. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do Monkey maybe next week as a movie watch-along, because it's a shorter movie. I think Laptop Tron will obey and be good for that. I'm thinking I may be doing that. You know what, but I want to veer away from watch-alongs, because a lot of the time, again, it just brings in the audience that then expects that I'm going to react to content. And again, I'm not a react channel. I don't want that to be the focus of the channel. I never have. This is a variety game channel with, you know, some stuff I'd like to do on the side. Like, I really still want to play a lot of TCG games, because I love TCGs. despite how much I mold. I want to get back into playing Diablo weekly because I want to be able to give back to people who are OGs that remember me from the Diablo 3 days and were kind of hoping for my Diablo content. I want to be able to do stuff of that nature for you guys. You know, I want to play more games I haven't played in a while, like Marvel Rivals. Be fun. I want to get back to Stardew at some point. I'd like to play Super Mario 64 as part of the All-Star Collection, because I think it'd be kind of fun to play that. I'm trying to play more Switch games, too. Like, I'm trying to do different types of variety content, because, again, variety channel. So the more things that we do, the more variety we have. Maybe YouTube algorithm doesn't like that, but that's kind of how I want to operate my channel, because I don't want to be stuck doing one thing, because if I did, I'd end up burned out, like how my friend Yerv is on Twitch, where he, on Twitch, was doing non-stop non-stop Dead by Daylight content. And eventually got to the point where Yerv just didn't want to play. Excuse me, I'm going. Okay. Hold on for it. Yeah, but, what ended up happening with Yerv is, like, he played so much Dead by Daylight to the point that he began to hate Dead by Daylight. As Dead by Daylight made more controversial changes, what ended up happening was, Yerv really, you know what, he didn't want to play anymore. And he got to the point where he just not having fun playing it, so, like, he wanted to stop doing content for it. Now he does variety on Twitch, but I never wanted to get to the point like that on this channel where I'm just playing. That's why I was like, if I just kept playing Diablo 3 or Diablo games, and that's all I ever did on the channel, I would have been miserable personally. I wanted to be able to do other things and, like, have cool streams and do different things. Like, I noticed, like, people enjoyed Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I was way out of practice. If I ever practice some more, we'll probably have some fun Marvel vs. Capcom 2 stream. I do like Street Fighter vs. X-Men. I would like to play Street Fighter vs. X-Men maybe next time. Like, I have a lot of ideas that I want to be able to do. It's just finding the time to be able to fit them in, like, personal schedule-wise, availability-wise, other factors, to be able to do them. But I have, like, so many ideas. League of Legends I want to play. I want to play Street Fighter vs. X-Men. I want to play... Let me take a swig of water here. Thank you. That was good water, good H2O. I want to be able to... I want to play Street Fighter vs. X-Men. I want to play Marvel vs. Marvel Rivals again. I'd like to play League of Legends. I have an interest in going back to Stardew. Mario 64. I don't know. I think my save got deleted in Half-Life because it won't sync. But if it syncs, I mean, we do have to technically go back to Half-Life and play that. Minecraft, I don't know. I could try to do a Minecraft stream, but, like, Minecraft is always so daunting for me because I don't have anybody to play with, first of all, in Minecraft. And second of all, like, I'm just terrible at building. So I don't know what we could do that would be interesting in a Minecraft stream. We could try to give it a try. Smash Brothers, I think we'll do more of that again. Like, there's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of ideas. Pokemon TCG will come back, because I've gotten to a point where I've played enough Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's like, I need another card game to play. So Pokemon TCG Live we'll do some more of, if the game's still up. And we'll try to find fun things to do. Different things, though. That's why I'm trying to hit home to people. Like, I want this to be where you come to this channel, that you get a different experience all the time. That it's not the same type of thing. So that way you're accustomed to, oh, we're doing this today, we're doing this today, we're doing this today. We don't always come in and it's like, it's not always going to be Diablo, and it's not always going to be this, and it's not going to be... The one thing I can guarantee that we're not doing on this channel is karaoke, because I'm terrible at singing. The other thing is that we're not going to be doing dancing, because I'm terrible at dancing. I have 2 left feet, and nobody has ever wanted to be my dance partner in life. So, unless somebody's going to, like, teach me how to dance and be that dance partner, you will not see me dancing on stream. You know what, but game streams, obviously, less emphasis on movie watch-alongs. We'll do like one, maybe once a month, I think, is a fair assessment at this point. So it'll be like a special once-a-month deal, which I think that we're not relying heavily on it to bring in viewers, but we're also, you know what, giving it there for somebody who want to. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Like, I'm thinking, like, I think about these things because it's year 5's coming up, right? So it's like, how do you do things? What do you do to keep the channel fresh? What do you do to keep the viewers engaged? What do you do to keep the chat engaged? Like, chat, feel free to give me Dread Knights, like your opinions on what you'd like to see. If it's something that I can do, I can do it. If it's something I can't do, I'll tell you I can't, you know, do it. If it's a game that I don't want to play, I'll just be honest with you, I don't want to play it. I just don't want to play it. Like, I remember, again, always asked on the channel, why didn't I do Lethal Company? I just don't care for Lethal Company. Helldivers 2, I just didn't care for Helldivers 2. You know what, Repo? I haven't seen gameplay of Repo, and I think I need like 4 people to play it. Who am I gonna get to play Repo with 4 people? I mean, like, I've said it before, people know what my Steam account is. If somebody gifts me a Steam game, you know, I will have, if my computer runs it and doesn't crash the computer, I would probably have to play the game then, right? Like, I'd love to do more WWE 2K content, but I'm not gonna pick up WWE 2K25 right now. Just because I can't wing it. I don't know if my computer even... I think my computer will run it, I just don't know if my computer will crash playing it. Which would make things difficult. But, you know, maybe in the future, WWE 2K25, depending on the roster, because I think the roster's good. Like, I didn't have 24, I skipped 24, and I have WWE 2K23 was the last one I had. And 22. I have 22 and 24, I didn't get 25. 24. 24's roster didn't have the characters I wanted, because there's no Edge in it. And I'm like, but I like Edge. And then 24 had the Fiend in it, but then there's no Brock Lesnar. Because obviously everything with Brock Lesnar that's happening, I'm not going to go over it. That's not my place to go over that shit. But yeah, you know what? You know, there's that. So, you know, I didn't do Brock Lesnar's not in even 2K25. So it's like, you know what, there's certain characters, like, I like certain legacy characters, and then they remove them from a game, and it's like, yeah, but why do I want to upgrade then, if I don't have these characters? We'll see, like, 2K25, maybe if it goes on sale, heavily discounted, Laptop John is working, we could do that, you know, but, like, game suggestions, feel free to suggest them. You know, I could probably put stuff up on my phone. I do have a phone. I never promote this ever on this channel. But I do have a phone where if you would like to buy an item for me, you can buy an item for me, whether it's a digital or physical, and it gets sent to either, if it's a digital game, I automatically redeem it. If it's a physical item, it gets sent to a PO box that gets held, and then it gets mailed to me. You're more than welcome to, if you like what I do and you want to throw something my way as a way to help, like, the channel out. Everything that I have listed there is just stuff for the channel, really. It's nothing that's anything personal that I need. It's everything that's needed for the channel. But if you want help that way, you can do so. It's available. The phone's in the link. I never promote it because I'm not that type of guy to be like, hey, I have this, but I do have it. So in case you like what I do and you want it, it's there. It's an option. It's your choice. I'm not forcing anybody either. Keep that in mind. It's just I'm saying if you want to support, because we do not have partnership yet here, so that's like the only way where you could show. On Twitch though, on Twitch I am an affiliate. So if you want to, like, subscribe to me on Twitch, it's Ryuji Dread. You could do so, and in the future I'll probably be doing things. And I do have emotes that are only for members, as well as other things there. I just don't have them here because, obviously, it's YouTube-san. YouTube-san, we need, what is it? 4,000 watch hours? And we're about halfway there. And we haven't hit the mark yet. I think it's 4,000 if I remember correctly. So, you know, we're still building towards that. So it's gonna be a while before that. Even if I were to hit partnership here, I don't know even if on streams if I'd want to do things like super chats. Just because, like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just not that business mind oriented as a VTuber. But, like, for me, I feel like I don't want you to pay me to have to read your chats. Because I would feel bad. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it for people who do that. Keep that in mind. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying for me personally, I would feel bad if you were paying me money to read your chat on stream, when I could probably just read your chat anyway. I mean, look at the amount of chat that we have now, right? Like, I don't want you to have to pay me to read a chat, because I would feel bad about that. I wouldn't mind, like, doing then member stream content where it's only member stream content, where it's special content that only you get. Like our creators do. I think that's kind of fine to do because that's a fair thing to give to people via membership. But I don't think I would have super chats on because I feel bad. Like, hey, pay me money to read a chat. And there's nothing wrong with it that any content creator does. I don't want people to think that that's the case. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying for me personally, that's not something that good old Dread likes to do, because Dread doesn't... Dread's not like that. Dread doesn't care about that. Dread doesn't want stuff like that to happen. Like, I just don't want to. I feel bad doing that. Like, you know, I have a Twitch channel that I never even promote, despite the fact I'm an affiliate, and never tell people to sub to it to give me money. Because I'm not that guy, right? I don't do things for... I don't do content really for money, which people get mad at me for, because I'm not business-like minded, I suppose. But I don't do content with the idea of I'm gonna make money off of this. It would be nice, but that's not like... I don't go out there like, I'm gonna put this video out because I want people to sub to my Twitch and give me money, or I'm gonna do this so I can get partnerships so they can pay me to read their chats. Like, I do things because I want to be able to have... I want these guys to, like, have somebody you can hang out with and chill with and keep you company and, you know, share the same vibes and stuff. I want you to be able to be entertained, you know, maybe my entertainment, maybe my talking for 2 hours, maybe my elite gameplay in these games entertains you and makes your days go better. You know what? Like, I feel like anything that happens, always in my belief, is always like things in terms of monetization, always has to happen organically, right? Because people want to do it, not because you're forcing people to do it. I guess is the point. That's how I've always operated. Some people say that's a dumb way of VTubing, but that's the way I like to do it, because I'm just like one of these guys, right? I've always said that. I don't view myself above you, Dread Knight. I think this is an equal partnership. You watch my content, and that helps me continue to make content and help me continue to grow as a creator, and I'm very thankful for all of you that are here. And I provide you with content, entertainment, hopefully laughs, hopefully something that makes you want to participate in chat, something that maybe, you know, resonates with you or makes you want to talk or makes you want to keep coming back. You know what? And that for me is, you know what, we'll get to partnership eventually. We'll do it organically. I'm not going to force people into doing it. We'll get to monetization options organically, and if they're there, I don't want people to feel like you have to do it. You do it if you want to do it, and if you don't want to do it, that's fine. You know what, we probably will run like an ad or two like everybody else does to be able to pay the bills, but you know, that's the thing, you know. But I don't force it. Like, you know, I even if I have membership, I don't think I'm the type of person, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, it's not. I'm just saying this is a personal thing for me. I don't feel like I would be a VTuber that could, like, be like, oh, my memberships are open, or hey, go to, you know, make sure to be a member so that we can you can see this exclusive content. I know it's a sales pitch. That's just not me, man. Like, for me, I'm just doing this because I like to do this. I have fun doing this. It's, you know, people have fun watching me do this, despite the, like, things. So, like, that's for me. That's my reward in this. If there's anything that happens then monetize-wise on both channels, that's great. That's great. You know what? That's great. You know, but I'm not here. I mean, do you think I would have stayed here 5 years if I was doing this because I was just trying to get the dollar bills, yo? It's nice. It's something that would help, but that's, you know, it's not me. I'm not gonna be like that I want to say corporate seller, because then people think I'm sort of a VTuber industry when I'm not. But I'm not gonna be that guy that, like, tries to sell out and, like, thinks of you as pay pigs and shit like that. That's not me. That's not me. That's not Dread. Dread don't do that. I'm not saying other people do that. I'm just saying, for me, I'd feel bad, be like, hey, yeah, you pay me to read chat. Hey, yeah, you know, and then try to force memberships on you and shit. I'm not saying people do it. There are some creators that do it more than others. It's a little bit more visible than other people. I'm not naming names. I'm not saying it's anybody I know directly. I see it on, like, Twitter. I see it on Blue Sky. And it'll be like, hey, my memberships are open. Hey, why didn't you member here? Hey, I'm trying to reach this goal today. Hey, memberships. Did I mention memberships? And those type of people, like, that's what that irks me, right? That's the stuff that doesn't set well with me. And that's why I'm like, whenever I pushed for the stuff that I do as a content creator, I made it my belief that I don't want to be like that. And the day that I do that type of stuff is the day that you guys here on the channel, you the Dread Knights, you get to call me out on that bullshit and be like, hey, what the fuck happened to your Dread? You're being a corporate sellout? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You have my permission. That only time, Dread Knights, ever to question shit like that with me. That's the only time that y'all let you curse at me. That only situation. Other than that, you can't curse on this channel. Only one that can curse on this channel is fuck me. And probably YouTube don't like the fact that I curse, but you know what? That's me, YouTube. That's me, YouTube. Take as in. There's a lot of people who curse that are VTubers on this channel. Well, not on this channel, but on YouTube. A lot of our people. Their streams aren't. You know what? Why are you gonna target the little guy? I'm just a little guy out here trying to make content. I think we have time for one little bit more thing here. We're gonna do one more Greater Rift 100, and then I'm gonna bow out for the day because I do have a lot of shit going on this weekend. I have a lot going on. There's WrestleMania. There's hearts to... I'm not breaking anybody's hearts. Dread doesn't want to break anybody's heart. Confirmed. But yeah, like there's stuff going on. There's WrestleMania, and there's, you know, the evils of truth and love to fight. And you know what? There's I gotta root for John Cena, the bad guy. Because you know what, John Cena's got to win his 17th championship to end Ric Flair's streak, and you know I gotta root for Seth Rollins to win in that one because I think Seth Rollins deserves a win. You know, and I gotta root for Braun Breaker. You know, am I excited for WrestleMania? Oh fuck it, yeah, I'm excited for it. This is one of the WrestleManias I think that I'm the most interested in, since there was the one with Stone Cold. What was it, WrestleMania 38, when Stone Cold came back to wrestle Kevin Owens for that night, and then night 2 was the WWE Universal Championship unification match, which is now the title's the the undisputed WWE Championship. And then, or what is it? No, it's the undisputed WWE Championship. Did they call it? Yeah, the WWE Championship, undisputed WWE Championship. You know what? So the Brock versus Roman one there that I thought was really good. Say what you want about Brock Lesnar, I know, because he's involved in that sex scandal with Vince McMahon that was named. You know, so you know, I'm not gonna talk about that. That's not. I mean, Vince McMahon's a scumbag. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. It's not anything different. You know, Vince is a jerk. Vince has done terrible things. I don't condone anything Vince McMahon ever has done. I have said this before many times. You know, the best thing that happened probably to the WWE is that Vince McMahon is no longer in control. I think Triple H is doing a very good job with it. I will, you know, just say, you know, like, could he have booked the WrestleMania a little bit better? Yeah, sure. Could have John Cena's, like, heel push had, like, more definition to it during the build-up? Yeah, sure. I mean, The Rock got involved in this whole angle, and then we only saw him for Elimination Chamber, where he helped Cena and did the turn with him. We never seen him ever again. And then Cena, still to this day, you know what? I'm recording this before the SmackDown happened, Dread Night, so keep in mind if something happened on SmackDown, I wasn't aware of it. But, yeah, like, you know, to this day, Cena in any of the promos hasn't talked about his boss, The Rock, who gave him the corporate sign, or why he sold out. I mean, we know that he's unhappy with the fans and everything. I would have liked a little bit more of that. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more heel tactics from Cena, where, like, I would have liked to see Cody Rhodes in a match, and, like, Cena come out and interfere and get, like, the upper hand. You know, something that would have shown, like, a little bit more heel to Cena. But assuming they're saving that for WrestleMania, where he's going to do something really dastardly, like cheat in the match, or a low blow, or somebody's going to come out to help him that we least expect. Maybe it's The Rock, maybe something to really push him over the head as that John Cena. How dare he do these things? And gosh, I really hate that John Cena now. Those type of things, Dread Knight. Like, I need to see that from him. Hopefully. Oh man, we're getting wrecked here. But, you know, that type of stuff, you know. But you know, I think night 1 is going to be pretty good. Night 2, Gunther can't lose that championship. I know I said that earlier in the stream. I'm going to double down again. I know we talked about this. Gunther cannot lose the World Heavyweight Championship. If he does, he will never recover from that. There's no recovering from that. You know, just because of that. Braun Breaker should keep that IC title. I don't care about the tag team championships, whatever. If you give it to the New Day, whatever. It's another New Day heel tag team championship run. Like, I don't see what you could do more with the New Day at this point. Like, they were face for a long time, then they were heel for a long time. Then they were face for, like, a century. Now they're going to be, what, heel for a long time. Like, New Day doesn't work anymore, because what made New Day great even as a heel faction, was the fact that they had Big E. And unfortunately, Big E has the neck injury that happened. I don't think he's ever going to wrestle again at this point. I don't know if he officially announced retirement, but it doesn't look like he's ever going to be able to step back in the ring based on the neck injury. So, like, you know, without Big E, I don't feel like the New Day really can do anything. And, like, this is everything that kind of bothers me. I guess maybe because they really don't want Big E at all in a dangerous type of situation near the ring. But, like, I figured, like, if you were going to have Big E, like, you could have brought Big E out as a heel manager for the New Day now, and, like, he'll just be the heel that does things on the side for them as a manager or a valet, whatever you want to call him. And that's how you could have incorporated him into heel run, but they didn't do that. Maybe they do it at WrestleMania, who knows? Maybe that'll be the random surprise, like Big E turns heel. Or, well, it'd be really cool, although I think it's highly unlikely based on the nature of his neck injury. They could have it where, who knows if Big E is actually medically cleared. Randomly, Big E's medically clear helps the New Day win the Tag Team Championship. And it's like, oh crap, New Day, Big E is back, but he's heel. Or that Big E comes back and he's, like, actually a face and fights the New Day. Like, that would be kind of cool too. I don't know, that's like dream booking. Oh, I died there. I got forgetting. There's a very hard game content, in case you haven't noticed. Even with the Demon Hunter, and Demon Hunter is not fully optimized, which is why we're trying to do these greater rifts, so I can get the gems up, and I can also get a lot of Whispers of Atonement I need, so I can grind way better. But hey, like, when dying in Diablo is something that's going to happen in this game, you just learn to accept it. Dying is part of life, both in this game and sadly in real life. But you know what? You know. But yeah, who knows? We'll see. Maybe Big E comes back randomly. That'd be a really big WrestleMania shocker if he's able to perform. I don't think that's going to happen. Shame what happened. Really shame. But that goes to show you, when people say wrestling's fake, yeah, the storylines and how some of the matches are performed but the injuries can be very real and life-threatening. Like Big E was close to be paralyzed with that neck injury. It's a miracle he's even able to walk at this point. But, you know, you never know. Alright, Greater Rift 100 done. We're gonna identify our loot, and then I'm gonna bid everybody a fond farewell. I think the next time that we do play Diablo 3, I will do Tragul. I will do a Necromancer Blood Tragul build, Blood Nova, which is kind of very Glass Cannon-ish too. I will try to prep the build when I have time ahead of time for the recording, so that it's not like super scuff. You know, it's all depending on a lot of things. My schedule is going to be very hectic the next couple of days, guys. So if I can get to it, I can. You know, things are going to be done kind of weirdly. Just be patient. You know, schedule. I'll have a schedule for next week out eventually. I can't have it out this weekend because I don't know. I think this next schedule is going to be a little bit different. Because I can't do content not this way. I'm like, I would say probably next week you're probably likely to see Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, as opposed to Monday and Tuesday for obvious reasons I talked about. And also, just because I'm not, this weekend coming up, I don't have time to prep content the way I would like to, because I'm not going to be able to, you know, really be able to use Laptop John to be able to create that content. I didn't have time to pre-record more content of that nature. So, like, just be on the lookout for stuff is what I'm talking about, okay? But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. Let's go back into just chatting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for ranting with me. Thank you for lurking. I do greatly appreciate it. Most importantly, I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, and weekend, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you most likely Wednesday of next week.